as long as it's been around, Doctor Who has attracted some of the best actors in the world, from series regulars to high-profile guest stars. Sometimes, though, no acting is required, and Doctor Who's cameras have captured plenty of authentic reactions over the years. And so, with that in mind, I'm Ellie with Who Culture, here with 10 Doctor Who scenes where actors weren't acting. Number 10. A surprise biscuit. Unlike most other Doctors, it took 2 full episodes for Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor to meet her version of the TARDIS. Once the Ghost Monuments plot has wrapped up, 13 steps inside her beloved box to find that it has changed significantly since she was a Scottish bloke. While taking in the new set, she wanders around the console, pressing buttons and fiddling with levers. There's even a foot pedal to play with, which she does of course. To her great shock and glee, this opens up a secret compartment, out of which comes a custard cream. Production designer Arwell Jones installed this biscuit dispenser as a surprise for Whittaker. He asked her what her favourite biscuit was and implemented this special feature without telling her beforehand. So when 13 munches that delicious custard cream in the episode, her look of surprise and joy didn't require much acting on Whittaker's part. It's a touching story, but we should remind you that eating a random biscuit that you find in a drawer probably won't end as nicely in real life. Number 9. The Slappening. The Caves of Androzani is widely regarded as one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. The 5th Doctor and his pals become involved in a war on the titular planet, which is being fought over the life-prolonging substance Spectrox. It's quite an intense serial, which might explain why one guest actor got a little too into character. Actor and dancer Christopher Gable appears in this story as Sharaz Jek, the sinister villain of the piece and the owner of a really cool name. A few minutes into the 3rd episode, a scene called for Jek to backhand the Doctor. Unfortunately, Gable gave it a little too much welly and smacked Davison for real. So if the Doctor's reaction to being pelted in the face seems particularly genuine, that's probably why. Apparently, the mask that Gable had to wear for the character impaired his vision, which is why his slap was so off target. At least it added more intensity to the scene, although considering that this was Davison's final serial, perhaps he would have liked to bow out of the role without getting beaten up first. Number 8. Matt and Tom geek out. 50th Anniversary Special The Day of the Doctor had plenty of nods to the show's past, but few were as memorable or as surprising as this cameo from one of the all-time greats. Right at the end of the episode, as Matt Smith's 11th Doctor is musing about one day retiring, he is joined by the familiar, wonderfully mad face of Tom Baker. The 4th Doctor actor appears as a mysterious future version of the Time Lord called the Curator. Or maybe he didn't, it's not really 100% clear, it was just cool to see him, alright? In their conversation, the Curator makes a thinly veiled reference to his time as the show's lead character. He then seemingly congratulates Smith on taking over the role, to which the younger star simply replies with a sincere, "Thank you very much." This wasn't in the script. Baker genuinely was saying well done to Smith for helming the show. The subsequent thanks and handshake were all 100% real. It's an incredibly sweet moment, one worthy of such a grand episode. Number 7. The Doctor's drowning. Sticking with Tom Baker, 1976 The Deadly Assassin sees the 4th Doctor head to Gallifrey and do battle with a rather crispy version of the Master. It's the first and only classic era episode to not feature a companion, as Baker was insistent that he could carry the story alone. However, the actor might have regretted making that decision, as it meant that there was no one else around to do this scene for him. The serial's 3rd episode famously ends on a cliffhanger, as the Doctor is held underwater by the titular hired gun. It's considered one of the most frightening scenes in the show's history, especially by the standards of the time, and one person who would agree with that sentiment is Baker himself, who is terrified of water. The look of horror on the Doctor's face throughout this scene is absolutely genuine, as Baker would explain in his autobiography. He wrote, "In The Deadly Assassin, there was a scene where I was being held underwater and where I had to appear genuinely afraid of death. It wasn't too hard for me to do this because I really am very afraid of water, and I suppose this fear made me overdo the terror." Now that's dedication to your craft. Number 6. Adric's Big Night Out. Campari is an Italian liqueur characterised by its dark red colour and bitter spicy flavour. It's a unique taste that doesn't sit well with everyone, including actor Matthew Waterhouse, who played the companion Adric in classic Who. Castrovalva, the 5th Doctor's first full serial, involves Adric being kidnapped by the Master, and it's up to the Doctor and co to get him back. They eventually succeed, although Adric is a little worse for wear after his ordeal. The script called for him to look pallid, which Waterhouse achieved at great personal cost. How? He got absolutely hammered the night before shooting thanks to the aforementioned Campari. When he turned up to work to shoot the final scene of the serial where the Doctor discovers his poorly landed TARDIS, Waterhouse was severely hungover and looked about as pallid as humanly possible. This actually led to a more realistic performance from the young actor. While the director may have been happy, the cleaning team were definitely not so thrilled when Waterhouse threw up behind a tree while Tegan and the Doctor's conversation was being filmed. Bloody Adric, eh? Number 5. Matt Smith needs a doctor. In the 2013 Christmas special, Doctor Who fans said goodbye to their favourite floppy-haired Time Lord Matt Smith. The 11th Doctor went out in spectacular style, dying of old age after defending the planet Trenzalore for hundreds of years. This storyline forced the babyface Smith to act as if he was several hundred years old. He got given a load of makeup to age his youthful face, and he even had to walk with a cane. Smith's cane-walking acting skills, which we're sure are terrific, weren't actually needed for these scenes, as the star had recently undergone surgery on his knee, which left him in a lot of pain. Writer Stephen Moffat even went as far as attempting to explain the limp in-universe by having the Weeping Angels attack the Doctor's leg. However, these scenes were cut from the final episode. To be honest, that was a good call. We'd all cottoned on to the fact that the Doctor was using a walking stick because he was, well, old. Any further explanation would have just seemed superfluous. Moffat probably just wanted to give the Angels more screen time. Did you know that he invented them? Number 4. Hartnellisms. William Hartnell is one of the most important figures in Doctor Who history, as he was the very man to bring the affable time-travelling alien to the screen. As the first Doctor, Hartnell appeared in 134 episodes between 1963 and 1966. Unfortunately, his ailing health forced him to leave, which was what brought about the idea of having the Doctor regenerate into a brand new form. As his tenure progressed, Hartnell's medical issues were taking their toll on the show, affecting his ability to learn his lines. This was reflected in the actor's performance, as Hartnell would regularly flub his dialogue, something that has lovingly been dubbed Hartnellisms or Billy Fluffs by fans.
I didn't want to,
Videotape was extremely expensive back then, so it was rare for scenes to be re-recorded, which is why so many Hartnellisms made it into the show. While they certainly fit with a character whose brain works at a mile a minute and is constantly thinking 15 steps ahead of everybody else, it's sad to know the real reason behind these flubs. Number 3. The Doctor kisses Rory. The lips of the Doctor have kissed some pretty memorable people over the years. Madame de Pompadour, Captain Jack Harkness, the ghost of Kylie Minogue. He's had them all. One of the most unexpected smooches in the show came during the Series 7 masterpiece, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Unexpected by the audience, and by one of the participants too. After getting tangled up in a plot involving dinosaurs and missing Silurians, the Doctor and his team must work out how to deflect a series of missiles heading straight for them. While brainstorming, Rory suggests looking into the ship's defense systems. The Doctor loves this idea, so much so that he plants a great big kiss on Mr. Pond's lips. In the distance, you could hear the servers of Tumble start to explode. Arthur Darvill had no idea Matt Smith was going to do this, so his bewildered reaction to the lip lock is totally natural. Don't be too upset though, Arthur. There are people out there who would pay millions to have Matt Smith kiss them at random. Number 2. Troughton takes a tumble. The Ice Warriors were a staple of classic Who. These fearsome Martians made their second ever appearance in the second Doctor serial, The Seeds of Death, in which they attempt to alter the Earth's atmosphere to make it uninhabitable for humans. Not only did they fail at their task, but they were also thoroughly upstaged by Patrick Troughton flopping about in a room full of foam. At one point, the Doctor gets stuck in a room with the deadly bubbles, which are actually an oxygen-sucking byproduct of the titular seeds. Before he is completely consumed, his companion Zoe opens the door and he manages to escape. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape gravity, as he clearly slips and falls on the foam, complete with a comedy whoa for good measure. Despite the Doctor nearly being murdered, Zoe can be seen chuckling away at his antics in the background, which is actually actress Wendy Padbury corpsing at the sight of her co-star losing his balance. From here, Troughton would go on to patent the idea for foam parties and make millions. Okay, that didn't really happen, but could you imagine if it did? Number 1. River Who? Over 7 years and 3 different Doctors, River Song captivated Whovians with her sharp wit, love of danger, and mysterious backstory, myself included. Played by the lovely Alex Kingston, River keeps meeting the Doctor out of order, as demonstrated when we first encounter the character in the 2-parter Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. River recognises the Doctor, but he doesn't recognise her, and things only get more confusing when she goes and dies at the end of the story. What the hell was all that about? There was no use asking David Tennant that question, as he was also totally flummoxed by River. Stephen Moffat, who created the character, refused to let anyone in on what his plans for her were, which surely helped with the amount of confused faces the Doctor has to pull in this story. On the commentary track, Tennant wrongfully speculates that River is a future incarnation of the Doctor, while Moffat sits back, strokes his moustache, and laughs maniacally. Okay, that last bit isn't true, but he probably was thinking it. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed anything, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell so you never miss a Who Culture video ever again. Also, head over to Twitter and Instagram to follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. Don't forget to also look out for Sean Ferrick and Dan the Meegs too. I've been Ellie with Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.